तो हमारा जो सिलेबस है उसमें कई थिंकर, कई विचारक ये सिलेबस के अंदर हैं। तो वेस्टर्न थिंकर्स में हमने देखा कि जो क्लासिकल ग्रीस के जो थिंकर्स हैं, चाहे वो प्लेटो है, एरिस्टोटल हैं, उनको हमने कवर किया। अब हम मिडीवल पीरियड में आते हैं, ठीक है? क्योंकि हिस्ट्री का क्या है क्रोनोलॉजी? हिस्ट्री का क्रोनोलॉजी है एंशियंट, मिडीवल, मॉडर्न, ठीक है? तो प्रत्येक खंड जो है उसके अपने अपने थिंकर्स हैं। अब हम इनकी स्टडी जो कर रहे हैं ये पॉलिटिकल थिंकर्स के रूप में कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हमें ये इसमें याद रखना है कि ये बेसिकली फिलोसफर्स हैं। ये क्या हैं? ये फिलोसफर्स हैं। तो और इनकी पॉलिटिकल थिंकिंग इनकी फिलॉसफी का ही एक भाग है। तो कई बार जो इनके आइडियाज होते हैं ये इंटर रिलेटेड होते हैं। इसका सबसे बेस्ट एग्जांपल है कार्ल मार्क्स। कार्ल मार्क्स सोशियोलॉजी में भी पढ़ाए जा रहे हैं, सोशियोलॉजी सिलेबस के अंदर भी आप देखेंगे तो हैं, और इकोनॉमिक्स सिलेबस के अंदर भी हैं, और हम लोग पॉलिटिकल साइंस में भी पढ़ रहे हैं। तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कार्ल मार्क्स ने अलग अलग चीज़ें लिखी थी कि भाई ये मेरी थिंकिंग है पॉलिटिक्स के ऊपर, ये मेरी थिंकिंग है सोशियोलॉजी के ऊपर, ये मेरी थिंकिंग है इकोनॉमिक्स पे। उन्होंने अपने विचार व्यक्त किए थे, ठीक है? अब हमने, शोधकर्ताओं ने, शिक्षकों ने अभी जो डिसिप्लिन्स एस्टैब्लिश हुई हैं, तो हमने देखा कि उनके कौन से कॉन्सेप्ट्स पॉलिटिकल साइंस में इंक्लूड होंगे और उनको हम पढ़ेंगे, और जो सोशियोलॉजी में होंगे वो सोशियोलॉजिस्ट पढ़ेंगे। तो इस प्रकार से ये जो प्रोसेस है ऑफ द डिवीजन ऑफ नॉलेज और उसको डिसिप्लिन में इंक्लूड करना, ये बाद में हुआ। तो जब हम इनको पढ़ते हैं, जब हम इन फिलोसफर्स को पढ़ते हैं, तो हमें एक ओपन माइंड रखना है, क्योंकि इनका बहुत ही वाइड रेंजिंग थॉट है, ठीक है? जैसा कि मैंने कहा, ये कई डिसिप्लिन्स के अंतर्गत आता है। तो आप इसको ऐसे एक सीमित परिभाषा में ना देखें, एक सीमित दृष्टि से ना देखें। जब हम उसको पढ़ेंगे तो हमें एक ओपन माइंड से पढ़ना है। तो अभी आरंभ करते हैं। हमने देखा किस प्रकार पहले हम एंशिएंट थिंकर्स को देख रहे थे, अभी हम मिडीवल पीरियड में आ गए हैं। अब पॉलिटिकल साइंस का जो मिडीवल पीरियड था उसमें, जबकि ये हमारे सिलेबस में नहीं है, लेकिन चर्च फादर्स का भी बहुत बड़ा रोल था, ठीक है? तो पहले हमने देखा कि ग्रीस में काफ़ी डेवलपमेंट हुई, उसके बाद एक रोमन पीरियड भी आया, वो हमारे सिलेबस में वापस नहीं है, और उसके बाद एक इसी के अंतर्गत, रोमन पीरियड के अंतर्गत ही, और उसके कंटिन्यूएशन में एक चर्च फादर्स का बहुत बड़ा रोल था। उसमें कई थिंकर्स थे, एक नाम मैं आपको दे देती हूँ, थॉमस एक्विनास, ठीक है? आपको जानने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, ये बस आपके एक्स्ट्रा इन्फॉर्मेशन के लिए है। तो उस समय क्या होता था कि बहुत अधिक लोग शिक्षित नहीं होते थे, बहुत अधिक लोग पढ़ाई लिखाई, अध्ययन, विचार, दर्शन, चिंतन, बौद्धिक काम ये नहीं कर रहे होते थे। तो जो बौद्धिक वर्ग था वो बहुत ही सीमित था, और अधिकतर जो लोग शिक्षा प्राप्त कर रहे थे यूरोप के अंदर, ठीक है, जो लोग मिडीवल यूरोप में एजुकेटेड थे, दैट क्लास ऑफ पर्सन्स, दैट वाज एक्सक्लूसिवली द चर्च फादर्स। चर्च फादर्स वो अपनी मॉनेस्ट्री में रहते थे, और उनका यही काम होता था कि वो सारे बाइबल, ओल्ड टेस्टामेंट, न्यू टेस्टामेंट, इन सब पे वो रिसर्च करें, इन सब के वो जो फिलॉसफी है उसको और आगे उसको ग्रो करें, उसको एक्सपैंड करें, उसको प्रॉपरली एक्सप्लेन करें, एलूसिडेट करें। तो उस समय मिडीवल यूरोप में जो निकल कर हमें सबसे अधिक जो योगदान मिला वो चर्च फादर्स का था पॉलिटिकल साइंस में, ठीक है? अब ये मैं आपको कॉन्टेक्स्ट के लिए बता रही हूँ, ठीक है? क्योंकि जैसा मैंने कहा ये सिलेबस के अंदर नहीं है। तो जो चर्च फादर्स थे, अब आप सोचिए कि स्वाभाविक है, आप एक चर्च फादर हैं, इसका मतलब बेसिकली आपका रोल क्या है? आप एक रिलीजियस फिगर हैं, और आप चर्च से एसोसिएटेड हैं, एसोसिएटेड। और जब मैं चर्च भी कह रही हूँ, क्योंकि बाद में प्रोटेस्टेंटिज्म भी आया, और पहले से एक ऑर्थोडॉक्स चर्च भी था, कई प्रकार के चर्चेस हैं। अभी मैं जिसकी मैं बात कर रही हूँ वो कैथोलिक चर्च है, कैथोलिक चर्च है, कैथोलिसिज्म है, ठीक है? तो कैथोलिसिज्म से जो ये जुड़े हुए हमारे चर्च फादर्स थे, तो अभी आप कल्पना कीजिए कि कोई चर्च से जुड़ा हुआ है, somebody who is a religious figure. रिलीजन और मोरालिटी का बहुत क्लोज संबंध है, ठीक है। व्हाट इज मोरालिटी? मोरालिटी इज द साइंस ऑफ राइट एंड रॉन्ग. Morality is that discipline of knowledge which tells us what is right and wrong, which actions are right and wrong. ठीक है? तो when you are a church father, when you are associated with the Catholic Church, when that is your primary profession, तो ये नेचुरल है कि मोरालिटी का उनका बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग इन्फ्लुएंस था. तो चर्च फादर्स जो पॉलिटिकल साइंस के थॉट्स प्रोड्यूस कर रहे थे, उस थिंकिंग में हमें मोरालिटी का बहुत भारी प्रभाव देखने को मिला, ठीक है. सो द literature and the thinking that was being produced by the church fathers, that had a very strong element of what? Of morality, ऑफ रिलीजियसनेस, ठीक है. तो जबकि वो पॉलिटिकल थॉट्स थे, अब पॉलिटिकल थॉट्स किस प्रकार के होते हैं? प्राइमरीली हाउ द स्टेट शुड बी गवर्न्ड, ठीक है, हाउ अ रूलर शुड गवर्न. यदि मैं एक सेंटेंस में बोलूं, व्हाट हैज बीन द प्री ऑक्यूपेशन ऑफ ऑल पॉलिटिकल थिंकर्स, ऑफ ऑल पॉलिटिकल फिलोसफर्स, इट इज व्हाट इज द राइट वे टू गवर्न, or how should we govern, what kind of government and administration and society do we want. This has been the main preoccupation of all political thinkers till date. बाद में जब हम modern period में आएंगे, then we will study John Rawls. Okay, he is a contemporary American thinker, but what is his preoccupation also? His preoccupation is also with right and wrong. What is the proper way for the government to behave? How should the government distribute benefits? Okay, so again, the preoccupation is with what is the optimum way for the government to function. So that has been the preoccupation from the ancient period, from Plato. And प्लेटो के भी जो गुरु थे सोक्रेटिस. ओके, तो हम देख सकते हैं इस पूरे लाइन में. सो सोक्रेटिस से लेके आधुनिक काल तक समकालीन व्यक्ति जो हैं जॉन रॉल्स, तब तक हमें देखने को मिलता है कि द सेंट्रल प्रीऑक्यूपेशन हैज बीन हाउ टू गवर्न, हाउ टू ऑप्टिमाइज. Okay, so when the central preoccupation has been how to govern and how to optimize, तो church fathers भी जब लिखते थे how to govern, how to optimize, तो we saw a heavy influence of religion in their writings. Okay, and a heavy religion of morality. This is how the king ought to behave. Okay, the king should always be good, the king should always be just, the king should always be fair, the king should always be impartial. Now, in this context, we have the emergence of Machiavelli. Okay, and now you will understand why I was telling you about the continuation. The continuation I was telling you because it is important for you to understand that Western theory developed in a continuation. Okay, now they have given us only certain thinkers in the syllabus, but for us to understand it better, we should know what is that logical progression. And when you understand that the church fathers, the political science that they were teaching, it was full of morality, normativity. Normativity is how somebody should behave. So when you put that in context and then you see Machiavelli emerges as very significant. So to understand the true importance of Machiavelli, to understand his true significance, that is why I've been telling you about the church fathers. Because so in the medieval period, European thought, Western political thought, it was mostly about religion. So politics was intertwined with religion. Okay, whenever they talked about political issues also, which is issues of governance, how the population should be governed, about the behavior of the king, it was always intertwined with what? Religion. So religion and politics had been made in an iron grip together. They were intertwined. And at that point, nobody could think of divorcing politics from religion. Okay, whenever they thought of politics or political subject matter, that is issues of governance, issues of kingship, issues of rulership, they always thought of them in conjunction with or intertwined with what? Religion. So nobody was able to separate the two matters. It was inconceivable at that point. Nobody even thought that the two could be two separate matters, they could be two different issues, and that they could be approached in different ways before Machiavelli, that is. So that is the significance of Machiavelli. That Machiavelli becomes that historical figure in Western Europe who teaches the kings and the rulers that it is indeed possible to divorce religion and morality. So his most significant contribution in terms of political philosophy, political thought, is divorcing religion and politics. That is his most significant achievement. And for this, he is considered the most important medieval political philosopher. Okay? And therefore, he is also part of the syllabus. So, Machiavelli, very, very significant. What is his biggest contribution? The divorce of religion from politics. So, once again, I will repeat. Earlier, what did we see in medieval Europe? We saw that the discipline of political science was primarily being researched, primarily being taught by whom? It was primarily being researched and taught by the church fathers. Church fathers used to study Christian scripture. Okay, so things like the New Testament, the New Testament wasn't there at that time. Or I will get back to you about that. Old Testament, yes, the New Testament was there. So the Old Testament, the New Testament, these are the main components of the Bible. Okay, so the Bible is composed of several other scriptures, and there are some ancillary scriptures as well. So they used to study the Old Testament and the New Testament, and their works, although they dealt with political subjects, such as governance, such as kingship, such as optimizing rulership, but they were bound together or intertwined in an iron grip with what? They were intertwined or bound together in an iron grip with morality and religion. Okay, now we come to Machiavelli. Machiavelli's significance: he breaks this iron bond. At that point, no one is able to even conceive of politics that it can be divorced from religion. No one is even able to imagine that politics could ever be broken from religion. But who is able to see this and who is able to put this forth in his writings? It is Machiavelli. And that makes Machiavelli so significant. Okay, so please write down. The first thing that you have to write down is, okay, after the classical period, after the classical period of ancient Greek philosophers, after the classical period of ancient Greek philosophers, such as Plato and Aristotle, such as Plato and Aristotle, the discipline of political science, the discipline of political science was carried on, was carried on in the monasteries, in the monasteries of the Christian faith, the Christian faith, full stop. The Christian faith, full stop. Next line. within these monasteries, within these monasteries, comma, Christian monks, Christian monks studied the Bible and its associated texts and its associated texts such as the Old Testament and the New Testament, full stop, such as the Old Testament and the New Testament, full stop. In these writings, comma, we see that the subject matter included issues of governance, comma, rulership, and kingship, full stop. However, these writings, although dealing with political subject matter, comma, intertwined these concepts with the ideas of morality and religion, in an iron grip, full stop. Next line. It is in this context that Niccolo Machiavelli, Machiavelli spelling Machiavelli. It is in this context that Niccolo Machiavelli emerges as the seminal thinker, seminal, SEMINAL, emerges as the seminal thinker of medieval Europe, full stop. Next line. The biggest contribution of Machiavelli to the intellectual corpus, corpus मतलब कि एक भंडार, ठीक है, एक भंडार. So the biggest contribution of Machiavelli to the corpus, to the corpus of political philosophy to the corpus of political philosophy is is that he was the first thinker to separate separate politics from morality. Politics from morality. Full stop. Okay. So, okay. Now, let's try to understand further. Okay, so this is his significance. We have seen that in the evolution of political thinking, when we come to the medieval age of Europe and Western political thought, Machiavelli assumes his importance. Machiavelli derives his importance. Why? Being the first person who saw that politics could be divorced from religion. Now, it's difficult for us to appreciate this because today, in our time, politics is already divorced from religion. ठीक है, नोबडी, हम में से कोई भी नहीं ऐसा होगा जो सोचता होगा कि पॉलिटिक्स बहुत ज़्यादा मोरालिटी वाली जगह है. हम में से कोई भी नहीं सोचता होगा, है ना. वी हैव ऑल सीन कि किस प्रकार से वो ईडी के सर्चेस होते हैं, कितने बड़े बड़े हमें कैश के भंडार वगैरह लोगों के घरों से मिलते हैं, नेताओं के, बड़े बड़े नेताओं के. हम सब ने वो सुन रखा है, 2G स्कैम, कोल स्कैम, कितना कुछ हमने सुन रखा है. तो बोफोर्स, ये वो कितने स्कैम्स हुए हैं भारत के अभी लोकतंत्र के अंदर. तो हम सब ये जानते हैं. अभी जो मॉडर्न इंसान है, मॉडर्न व्यक्ति है हमारी तरह, हमारे को ये भली भांति पता है कि पॉलिटिक्स और रिलीजन अलग अलग चीजें हैं. पर उस समय क्योंकि ये बात उतनी स्पष्ट नहीं थी, कि इस तरह से क्लियर नहीं था लोगों को, तो ये बहुत बड़ी बात थी. इनफैक्ट आज जो व्यवस्था है, जिस प्रकार से पॉलिटिक्स और रिलीजन अलग अलग हैं, ये माकियावेली की सोच से ही पॉसिबल हो पाया है. ठीक है. नाउ आई विल से इट इन इंग्लिश. Today it is very difficult for us to appreciate the significance of what Machiavelli did for politics. It's difficult for us to appreciate. Okay? Because today we already see a situation in which politics and religion are two different things. They are two different entities. Today nobody expects politicians to be moral. Do you expect a politician not to take a bribe? No. In fact, you expect ki if it is a politician, he will have a lot of money. Okay, and if you look at the profile of the Lok Sabha, you will see the number of crorpatis has gone up, and the number of crorpatis keeps growing up every single Lok Sabha. So the number has only been rising. What does this tell us? This tells us that today none of us expect great morality from our politicians, and we understand that these are two different things. Morality is different, religion is a different sphere, and politics is a different sphere. Okay, we expect morality in religion. Okay, we do expect. Religion does teach us to be good people. Okay, whatever religion the preachers who are there, they will always tell us ki how to be a good human being, give back to society, do this, do charity, this, that. But we don't expect that morality and religion should mix with politics. That's not our expectation today. And this has been made possible also by the thought of Machiavelli. So now let us take up some of his important concepts. Okay, the biggest concept that Machiavelli gives us is realpolitik. Okay, and you will see this again and again, and you will also see comparisons of Machiavelli and Kautilya. Okay, there is a trend of asking these questions as well. Okay, Machiavelli and Kautilya, which we will discuss in detail later also. And the point that I'm making right now is that realpolitik is what they have in common. What do Machiavelli and Kautilya have in common? Realpolitik or realism. What is realism? Realism is that branch of political science which tells us, which directs us that we should study the world as it is. We should study the world as it is and not try to superimpose some kind of morality or normativity onto it. So Machiavelli and Kautilya, what they have in common is realism. Realism is that discipline which tells us, it's that sub discipline of political science, it's that sub field of political science which tells us that we should study the world and we should study political developments. How? How they actually are. We should not superimpose some kind of normative standards onto the behaviors of political actors. Okay, so that is realism. So Machiavelli is credited with bringing realism into European thinking. Okay, so now we are going to be taking up some of his concepts. Before we progress further, I want you to write down two, three other lines. So quickly write this down. Write down Machiavelli. Machiavelli is credited. Machiavelli is credited. Credeted, credited with introducing realism in Western political thought. Is credited with introducing realism in Western political thought. Underline realism and put it in quotes also. Okay, credited with introducing realism in Western political thought. ठीक है, अभी इतना हो गया. Now next line write down. Full stop. Next line. Next line write down. The most important text, text, text of Machiavelli is The Prince. The Prince. Underline The Prince, comma, comma. Some of his other works include discourses, discourses, discourses. Full stop. So if we see most of Machiavelli's intellectual concepts, most of what we are going to study, they are coming from his book, his text called The Prince. Okay, it was written in Italian, it was written in the medieval period, and Machiavelli himself was a diplomat. Okay, he was an ambassador, he was a diplomat, and he had been sent by the king of Florence to France to be in the court of the king of France. So he had his own diplomatic assignments. And what he was trying to do is Machiavelli was trying to get into the good graces of the king of Florence. Okay, so he was trying to get into his good graces. Good graces matlab he was trying to get his favor. Okay, he was trying to get the king of Florence to look upon him with favor. So उसी के प्रयास में उन्होंने ये किताब लिखी थी द प्रिंस. ठीक है, ये द प्रिंस ये किसको संबोधित कर रहे हैं इस किताब के अंदर? किंग ऑफ फ्लोरेंस को. ठीक है, सो आई से इट इन इंग्लिश नाउ. Machiavelli, he wanted to get the favor of the king of Florence. Okay, he wanted the king to look upon him favorably, to be positive towards him. So therefore he wrote this book called The Prince. It was written in Italian and it was written for somebody. Who is that somebody? The king of Florence. And the king of Florence, because Machiavelli, okay. Why did he want the king of Florence? Because he wanted, the king was the central figure, was the most powerful figure, had all the powers in that medieval period. So he wanted the king to keep him in his court, he wanted the king to give him a castle, he wanted things from the king, he wanted to obtain certain things, so he wanted his favor. Okay, why did he want his favor? Because the king had the power to give him a castle, the king had the power to give him